Hey folks, Jimmy here, aka Palette of the Dead. Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another issue of Mortal Realms magazine. As per usual, if you like these videos, please click on that like button. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and of course drop a comment down below. It is greatly appreciated. Now, we're into issue 29 this week. No models, but we have got Norn Oil, which is very handy to have. Especially if you're going to paint kind of darker metallics, or if you want to go for a slightly grimmer, darker kind of look to your models. Norn Oil as a shade can work very well to kind of darken everything down and dilute everything and make it look very grim and uncomfortable. And we also get Baneblade Brown, which can be very good for using on earth textures, highlighting certain brown textures as well, like leather straps, that type of thing as well. It will come in very good use as well, I'm sure. And then into this week's issue, we are greeted by the God King Sigmar. Sigmar, the God King, is ruler of Azir and the most powerful of humanity's gods. He is the eternal enemy of the dark gods of chaos. With the help of his Stormcast Eternals, he seeks to restore civilization and order to the mortal realms. So, Sigmar, being a remnant of the old world and the world that was flung from its existence, and he was helped by Dracothion, the god beast, which is Sigmar's oldest ally, and it was he who caught the burning remains of the world that was and set it in place above Azir and introduced the God King to the mortal realms. Now, Sigmar himself, being a remnant of the old world, he did use the famous Warhammer, Galmaraz, as his main weapon. He was very tough. He was a human of the Empire, and he has never been bested in combat while having Galmaraz in hand. So Galmaraz being the infamous Warhammer, you can actually watch a video of, it is, I'm trying to remember, it's on for Channel or Me, where they make Galmaraz, they make a real life one essentially, through forging it with metal, which is really cool video to watch. It's a few years old now, but was really good to watch for that being done. They also made a chainsaw at one point as well, so a bit different and quite funny to do, but yeah, they make it, and from a good old company called Baltimore Knife and Steel in the US. So really good stuff. Of course, a bit more information on the God King himself and how the God King is revered and how he came to be, and a bit more back history and lore behind him. Then the next page, you're getting some more information about the champions, which is the Lord Celestant. The Lord Celestants bear the burden of command, leading vast war hosts of Stormcast Eternals to war. Each of these immortal generals was a mighty warlord or warrior before they even became a Stormcast Eternal, for Sigmar only entrusts the leadership of his armies to the most gifted. So Lord Celestants, as you can see in that model just there, are pretty cool units. They can be mounted on these kind of like Dracoths and everything like that, the Drakes, winged beasts and celestial war star drakes and everything like that as well. They are really cool looking. Sometimes they carry swords, sometimes they carry hammers. It's up to them. It's down to their preference. So really good stuff. A bit of history about the Lord Celestant before we even get a Lord Celestant model as well. Then going into the Ancient Dead, so we're picking back up with that as well. So they've had a couple of issues where it's not really been mentioned and not really been tinkered with or anything like that. So it is going through the Ancient Dead. In the course of my travels, I have learned that no deceased mortal is beyond the reach of powerful death magic, even if all that remains of their physical form is a fleshless skeleton. So, going into kind of a death rattle and the skeleton hosts and everything like that, Nagash can raise them from the dead and kind of bring them back up into the Sepulchral Guard and other kind of units to be used. So you can use death rattle skeletons, which are just your generic skeletons. If you play Total War Warhammer, you'll know skeletons are crap. Very weak, very kind of well, have the crap kicked out of them very, very easily. But you can bump out loads of them, you can bung loads of them into an army, just chock it up and everything like that, and hopefully overwhelm your enemy. White Kings, which are a pretty cool unit. I've got one myself and I painted it up and I enjoyed painting it as well. And they are kind of like servants. They were in life cruel, whether they were cruel despots, great conquerors, and everything like that as well. They are kind of Nagash's Naus, got them under his servitude and everything like that as well. Black Knights, mounted skeletons essentially, very, very heavily armoured. They are very, very good to have around, and things like your Grave Guard as well, which are a lot tougher, powered by dark curses, wielding pitted weapons and rusting armour. The Grave Guard is an elite skeletal infantry, so they were kind of like more champion style, everything like that as well. So, and they are a lot tougher. It's a shame we're not getting any of their models with this magazine, but if you ever want to pick them up, of course, you can use things like Goblin Gaming or Elite or Element Games or anyone like that. Get them all a bit cheaper, and if you want to, then there is links for them guys in the description down below if you want to use them, or even just have a browse really if you wanted to. Your how to paint section, because we've only got paints, it's going to expand on how you can use your paints. So they're saying gather your Stormcast Eternals, so if you've not painted all your Stormcast yet and you've still got a load to paint through because you're following this guide, grab hold of them all, gather your paints. So you want your Norn Oil, Agrax Earthshade, Reikland Fleshshade, Rathkar Flesh and Mephiston Red as well, and you can add to a lot of their look, so using things like your Mephiston Red over certain robes and the inner over tabards and plumes and stuff like that as well as a saddle cloth for the good old Griff Charger. Using your Rathkar Flesh on the outer side of tabards if you wish to. Entirely up to you if you want to do that. If you are going to do that, then you can highlight it using white, or you can just use Agrax Earthshade and then go back over it with Rathkar Flesh if you really wanted to. Same with parchment areas as well, which is kind of handy. And then using the Agrax Earthshade over things like the plumes, cloth areas and stuff like that, which will work very, very well and it does look quite nice. I generally use Reikland Fleshshade for it because it gives it a slightly darker red, but in all honesty, Agrax Earthshade works very, very well for it as well. Norn Oil, you can use over things like Cantor Blue. It will darken the blue quite heavily, but it will also get into them little recesses and darken the certain edges around metals and blues and everything like that as well, and it will look very, very good. And use it over your blades as well, which is a pretty good way of doing it. If you're going to do it like that though, you might use it very, very sparingly. Don't layer it on too heavily for kind of brighter swords, so swords of order and stuff like that. And it will work very, very well though, and it will kind of give that metal a nice look as well. Same with using it over corn red if you wish to as well. It will give it a dark, dark red kind of colour. And your Reikland Fleshshade, of course, using it over flesh, which is a main thing. So you can use it over Corax White. It gives it a very pale look. Personally, I don't appreciate doing it, but it is entirely up to you how you're painting models, of course. And then you'll have them all looking pretty much like that, or very, very similar. So they look very, very nice. They actually look pretty decent, following their step-by-step guides. Entirely up to you how you want to do it though. And then your Nighthaunt. Grab your Norn Oil, grab all your Nighthaunt models, use it over that Cantor Blue, over certain other areas as well, like the metal and the Dryad bark as well. It'll darken it up quite nicely, and you'll get them looking a bit grimmer and a bit darker and a bit more kind of grimier, is probably the best way to say it. Then we've got an expanded war scroll for the Lord Arcanum. So of course they have an Efferstave, they have the Griff Charger as well, who has Razor Beak and Claws, stuff like that. They have magical abilities, so they can use Healing Light as well as other kind of magics, which is always nice. And you can always use that bit as well to kind of keep it going and to kind of expand on your game and use new kind of ways of building up everything as well, so which is always nice. And then you're kind of expanding Warscroll for the Knight of Shrouds, just kind of going through a bit more with him. So the Sword of Stolen Hours is his main weapon, of course. He uses the Ghostly Steed, so that has ghostly hooves and teeth, so it's always fun to have that, of course. And a bit more of the explanation of how to use him in certain kind of ways and everything like that. So if you use your Sword of Stolen Hours, when you kill a unit, you will heal the Knight of Shrouds by 1 as well at the same time, so you can always kind of replenish its health, essentially. So then you've got the Hallowstone Besieged, so part of the guy around kind of campaign still, going through everything, and you are grabbing hold of your Lord Arcanum, Secretors, Liberators and a Prosecutor, going up against Chainrasp, Knight of Shrouds, Glaive Wraith Stalkers and Dreadblade Harrow. So you just want 1 Dreadblade Harrow, your 15 Chainrasp and your 4 Glaive Wraith Stalkers. And for your Stormcast Eternal side, Lord Arcanum, 5 Secretors, 4 Liberators and 1 Prosecutor. And that should be enough to kind of get you going and get you kind of going through everything for that battle plan. And then we are also incorporating into this Forces of Chaos kind of expanded pull-out bit. So you have, starting from the left, you've got your Blades of Khorne. So the Khorne Bloodthirsters, they have Chaos Demons and stuff like that as well. So all of these are your main demons. Disciples of Zeech, your Maggotkin of Nurgle, which have the Great Unclean Ones, instead of the Lords of Change or anyone like that. And your Hedonites Knights of Slaanesh, so they have a Slaaneshi, Keeper of Secrets, and stuff like that. So they in the pursuit of excesses, of course, as per usual. And then on the other side, you got a bit more of it. So your Slaves to Darkness, the Ever Chosen, Forces of Chaos, your Beasts of Chaos, and of course your Skaven as well. So you've got that lovely Vermin Lord, which is a very, very nice model, and I must admit it's still one that I really, really need to get my hands on at some point. And then as you can see, you've got more kind of Forces of Chaos kind of milling around in that photo there, which is going up against Stormcast Eternals, and you've got things like Skaven and your Beastmen as well. So you've got things like that Doom Wheel, which is really, really cool, and I did love painting one of those. I've got one of them, and it was probably one of the most fun models I've had to build, in all honesty, and I really, really enjoyed it. And then your beasts, of course, you've got your Cygors, you've got Ogres, you've got good old Dragon Ogres as well, so really, really good stuff. And you get some really, really big, nice sculpted models, if you wish, out of all of them. So really, really good pull out section. But looking forward to next week. So next week we get second part of the Azerite Ruins. Yeah, it is what it is, more scenery, but I'm not going to dwell on that. It's, you know, they're nice little kits to put together, and they do add a lot more to the game than I'm willing to admit sometimes, in all honesty. And then in issue 31, so in 2 weeks time, we get that lovely Stormcast Eternal Lord Exorcist model, which I must admit is probably my favourite Stormcast model that you can get so far. So it is really, really cool. I'm quite looking forward to getting that, what I can only describe as a Cyberman from Doctor Who. Yeah, I'm really, really looking forward to getting my hands on that one and getting painting on that. That model alone, if you buy it on its own from GW, is about 20 quid. So that issue is going to be very, very well worth it, in all honesty. So it's not bad at all. Right, that's this week's issue done. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, as always, as I say, hit the like button. Right, I will catch you next time in the very, very near future. Bye bye now.